touchdown.
Canadian football goes for a cross-border touchdown. Beefcake goes mainstream, the pressure to measure up. And there's something funny about this week's first person. Hi and welcome to YTV News. Janice is on vacation, but the rest of the news crew is here, and we've been hard at work to bring you another great show. Reading the paper this week, I found another reason to like living in Canada. There's an elementary school in San Francisco where gunfire has become so common that the school has planned classes on how to duck and take cover. What's worse is that this isn't unusual. Dozens of American schools teach students how to avoid gunfire. Something else that's being taught in the U.S. is how to play football with Canadian rules. This season, for the first time, the Canadian Football League has an American franchise. And next year, it's hoping to add a few more. The reason is that this sight is becoming too common at CFL games, empty seats, which means a lot of teams are losing money. The league management hopes that by letting American teams like the Sacramento Gold Miners play, the CFL will attract new fans and an American TV deal. A juicy TV contract can be worth millions of dollars. Some people say that while potential for money is great, American expansion will destroy a tradition that's been with us for over 100 years. Expansion could also mean fewer jobs for Canadian players. In focus this week, the debate over taking the CFL south of the border. I talked with two semi-pro players who would love to be in the CFL. Jason Bitter is a quarterback with the Toronto Athletics. He's against the expansion. Silvio Martel is Jason's teammate. He's for the expansion. So Silvio, you're pretty well for the CFL expansion. Why?
Well, I think like any pro league, I think the CFL has to expand sort of just to expand this market simply. From what I understand, it hasn't expanded in recent memory, unlike other pro leagues like the NBA, Major League Baseball and hockey, and I think they should follow suit.
You agree with that, Jason?
Okay, first of all, I think the groundwork for the CFL is that it's not on a par with the NBA or Major League Baseball or the NFL in that it is a second league, not a premier league like the NFL. But occasionally you may get someone like Rocket coming up to the CFL, but that doesn't make it on a par with the NFL.
So, Jason, you don't think that Canadian football can compete with American football? Why not?
It's nothing against Canadian players. There are some Canadian football players that can play, as this team clearly illustrates by going to the States and being very competitive against American teams. It's nothing against Canadian players. It's just that if you go to... I played high school in the States and I played college in Canada, and I saw a really large difference in the way the approach to the game is.
From a fan's perspective, you want to see the best possible product out there on the field. And I think from a fan's point of view, I mean, I hear people in Toronto, saying all the time how they want the NFL up here. That they want to see the best possible product on the field. And it may be cold, but you want the best possible players playing. Now, with that said, I still do believe that they have to have, a Canadian content.
Cartwright fields the ball at the 20-yard line. He finds a hole up the middle. He needs one block and he's gone. Trevathan trying to do it for him.
They're saying that they have a Canadian quota for the time being, but it's sure to diminish. A lot of people feel that way.
I think, yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. I'm sure it will diminish, but I think they can find sort of a happy medium in between what the quota is now and zero, as it is in California right now in Sacramento. I think they could probably split the difference and come away with a happy agreement.
Your next stop, hopefully, at least I'd assume you aspire to be on the CFL. How does that make you feel, knowing that your chances are less now with the expansion?
Well, as far as any possible professional career for myself, I've long ago realized that that's not going to be happening. But I think that it's pretty evident that the quota is going to be abolished when the collective bargaining agreement that the CFL Players Union has with the CFL expires, and I think after next season. And all the teams are pretty well going to go with more Americans than Canadians. I think eventually you won't see the total extinction of Canadian players, but you will see a large lessening of the amount of Canadians playing on Canadian and American teams.
Go! Silvio and Jason play with a minor league football team called the Toronto Athletics. They've both had dreams about playing professional football, and no wonder. Football is their favorite game. Of course, other people like hockey or baseball. That's why we took our camera out to the street to find out what your favorite sport is.
I like hockey because there's a lot of action in it.
My favorite sport to play is soccer. There's a lot of interaction, teamwork.
Has to be monster trucking.
My favorite sport is volleyball and softball, and I'm off to a softball game right now, actually.
I like watching hockey because of the action and stuff. And for playing, I like badminton. But why? Actually, I don't know why.
My favorite sport is hockey because I find it very entertaining and lots of action.
Baseball. I like it because it's a lot of interaction between two teams.
I like rugby because it's a lot of contact. It's good.
It's cricket. I like it because it's an interesting game. The score is racked up really high. It's not very common. I like that. And it takes a lot of skill to play.
Hockey's my favorite sport. Football. It's rough. It's fun to watch.
I don't like sports. I don't do any of them.
Some other news now. If you've been thinking about going to college or university but don't have any idea of how you'd pay for it, you might want to try your local bank. The Bank of Montreal announced this week that it's offering student loans of up to $5,000 a year at competitive interest rates. Students who receive the loans will have to make interest payments while they go to school, but don't have to pay off the principal or loan until after they graduate. Canada's other major banks have also designed loans for college and university students. Experts say the reasons banks have become so interested in students is that student loans are less risky than other investments. They also help to develop a long-term customer base for the bank. 2 university students from Fredericton, New Brunswick have come up with a novel way of putting money in the bank and in the city's parking meters.
Well, this guy's almost there. It's pretty close. I'll get him. Saved another ticket. Yeah.
Andrew and Berkeley Scott call themselves ticket terminators. It's all part of a summer job they came up with on their own. The 2 brothers save motorists from getting parking tickets by throwing extra quarters into meters that have expired. Then they let the driver know that the gesture is courtesy of one of 40 local merchants.
A lot of people are thanking you. They'll come up and offer, to give you a quarter back, and they're very happy that you did that because they got held up in the bank for an extra 2 minutes or something like that.
I think it's not only you can only work for the government, you can only work for a corporation or something like that. There's a lot of money out there in the world to be made, and we're going to get our share.
Something tells me that in a couple of years, they'll be the ones giving out student loans. Coming up after the break, Rhonda McMichael gives us the goods on beefcakes and a first-person laugh or two. Don't move.
It's a shame most kids are taught sports that appear to be fun, yet do very little to add to the skills as an adult. But take golf. It helps one master the art of concentration and coordination, as well as the virtues of honesty and proper etiquette. On the other hand, we must not let our kids grow up too fast.
You got a lot to do before lunch. Kids across Canada are helping to make the earth a cleaner, better place. Clean it up, I'll make it right. So check out a complete breakfast with Cheerios. 'Cause you got a lot to do before lunch.
I'm the Meister of Motion, a wizard on wheels. And nothing goes on this bike but me and these stickers, like the fish, the rocket, and the lightning bolt. Yeah, there are 6 cool stickers to collect in all. 2 in every box of Cheerios. Also very cool.
If you've never tried a Wonder Bar, you just don't know what to expect. 2, 3, 4, yeah! So unexpectedly good, no wonder we call it Wonder Bar.
Would you take a spin in this taxi?
Sure!
The Incredible Crash Dummies are having a tailgate party? Whoops! I'll smash their fun! Gotta run! With the evil Junkman in hot pursuit, the dummies stop for a break. Break? Where's the brakes? There aren't any! Wow! The Incredible Crash Dummies! Good crash! New Crash Cab vehicles and figures all sold separately. Don't you be a dummy! Buckle your safety belt!
There are too many pressures put on females by society today. I mean, you're expected to be thin, beautiful, popular, you know, to have a boyfriend and always pleasant, and it's just not realistic. I mean, you go out there and there are so many people out there on diets and having facelifts and trying to change who they are because they're trying to fit into society's mold of who they should be, and it's just not right. I mean, there's so many people with eating disorders, and, you know, women and young girls, even 8-year-olds, who have eating disorders because they feel that it's the only way that they can stay thin and stay popular, kind of stay in the race, you know? And when you see eating disorders as rampant as they are today, you know that there's something wrong.
If you've got something you'd like to say, why not put it on videotape? Get yourself in front of a camcorder and record a 1-minute message on anything. If we put it on the air, you'll get yourself an authentic, produced nowhere else, not available in stores, YTV News baseball cap. Our address is 64 Jefferson Avenue, Unit 18, Toronto, Ontario, M6K 3H3. For a long time, women have felt pressure to be as thin and gorgeous as models on magazine covers. Well, now it seems the guys are learning what that pressure feels like. Beefcake is hot, and a lot of guys are pumping iron to try and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Marky Mark and work their way towards bodies of steel. Rhonda McMichael went to the gym to check it out.
Merritt, this is the busiest room in the gym these days. Everyone seems to be pumping up, especially guys. Seems like it's a big deal to be a he-man. Music videos, movies, and magazine ads are all telling guys how to look these days. Big, or at least lean, hard, and muscular. So a lot of guys are feeling the pressure and they're heading to the gym to pump up.
Good stuff, let's go.
Twins Eli and Mark Pollock are two of those guys.
When you work out, you feel good, and then when people look at you, go, oh, that guy looks pretty good. So it makes you feel good about yourself. Increases your self-esteem, so that's pretty good.
That's why most guys lift weights, to feel good and to look good.
Personally, I like the appearance. It gives me a good feeling to be like that. And I think I speak for a lot of the male sex, you know what I mean? Like, it makes you feel good.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to look good, but the story could turn ugly. A lot of guys in a hurry for the perfect body are taking drugs to get there.
They see the results they're getting, and they're happy with the way they see themselves in the mirror, and they just keep increasing, and then eventually it leads to that, you know, to steroids and other things.
The quest for big is so intense, some people call it the anorexia nervosa of teenage guys. And Dr. Tony Gallia says it's fueled by movie stars like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
You see him, he's well built, he's defined, he's got huge biceps, and guys want to look like that. That's what's portrayed in Hollywood.
So, the beefcakes always get the girls, right? Well, not everyone thinks so.
Too big muscles, I think it looks bloated. I don't think it looks too good, but an okay chest, like mine is okay, so not too much muscle looks good. I think that looks good.
All that muscle is not necessary. It doesn't mean, like, for you to be a man that you have to be big and thick. I mean, a man, it's more what's inside of you than what's outside.
Even though it might be almost impossible to look like Arnie, the quest for the biggest biceps, triceps, and quadriceps continues. For YTV News, I'm Rhonda McMichael.
As Rhonda said, some people use steroids to improve their appearance. A new survey from the Canadian Centre of Drug-Free Sport says 1 out of 10 young people think it's okay to try steroids. Among 18-year-old guys, that number climbs to 1 out of 5. However, the survey also said that 6 out of 7 young people seem to favor drug-free sports. Coming up right now, we've got news on new life for old tires. That's one of the stories this week in our world. Every year, Canadians dump 17 million used tires into landfill sites. The question up until now has been, what do we do with them? Some people say the best solution is retreading. Retreading started in the late 1920s but never really took off. Now in the 90s, environmentalists say it's a good way to reduce waste and conserve natural resources. It takes about 100 liters of oil to manufacture a new tire, but only 36 liters to retread an old one. Experts say a properly retreaded tire will perform just as well as a new one, and an old one can be retreaded up to 4 times. And finally, the most feared hunters of the sea now have a role in the world of medicine. Shark cartilage is being used as treatment for cancer patients. Doctors aren't sure how it works, but something in the cartilage of sharks stops cancer cells from growing in humans. In Cuba, a 4-month study showed 16 out of 24 terminally ill cancer patients had tumor shrinkage after receiving the cartilage treatments.
Have you ever tried to make somebody laugh? How about a whole room full of people? And what if they paid to see you? Talk about pressure. That's what this week's first person is learning about. Her name is Teresa Pavlinek. Is she funny? Well, funny enough to be part of the famous Second City comedy troupe in Toronto. In this skit, she wants the waitress to try her pea soup. Check it out.
Let me assure you, madame, I tried the soup before my shift commenced. I found it to be creamy and yet
I'm sure you did, but I'd like you to try mine. Just give mine a try. Come on, let's give mine a try. Come on.
I will get
I'd like you to try. Just try my soup, please.
Fine, madame, I will try your soup. Where is your spoon?
Exactly.
To be a comic, I think you have to be able to laugh at yourself, first of all. I think that's extremely important. You have to be able to just laugh at the whole situation. If you want to be professional, I think you have to be able to laugh at the business because it's so competitive and so crazy. I was an extremely shy child. A lot of my friends are and were surprised that I decided to go into comedy because I was never outwardly funny. I was very shy at first. It wasn't until the later years of high school that I actually started to become, I guess you could call funny, or use humor as a way to relate to people. Being on stage is an incredible rush because you can make a fool of yourself and you have the excuse that it's not you, you know. When it's not working, it's the worst feeling, I think, ever. And that's a chance you have to take, especially doing improvisation here. Sometimes it's not going to work. I think they call it bombing here. The hardest thing about being a comic, I think, is everyone expects you to make them laugh all the time, whether you're on stage or not. And it's hard to always be on, because, you know, I mean, you're going to have days when you're not happy and you don't want to crack a joke. You don't want to be funny. Carol Burnett is definitely a strong, strong influence in my life. I watched her show religiously as a child, and I think she's incredibly talented.
Togetherness.
Togetherness.
I think I have picked up a bit of her facial expressions when I'm on stage, and I think her characters are kind of in the back of my head, and I remember them. And so I think that's why sometimes I may seem to look a bit like her or act a bit like her, because having watched it so much, I think I absorbed it. I think there are so few female comics because society really looks down upon women taking that role. Little boys can run around and be the class clown and make fools of themselves and stand on their head and everyone laughs. But if a little girl would do it, it's looked down upon, and I think people are uncomfortable with women taking that controlling role on the stage. It's very intimidating walking in every day and seeing pictures of John Candy, Eugene Levy, Andrea Martin, Catherine O'Hara, and thinking they were here at one time and here am I. There's a lot of pressure, I think, but it's also great incentive and inspiration to think that if they could do it, maybe it's not so hard for someone else like myself.
We're going to take a break right now, but when we come back, Rhea John will be here with the latest in entertainment. Plus, Duncan McHugh goes golfing. Stick around.
it out.
I remember her delicate fragrance floating on the air. She said the ocean was calling and just dived straight in, clothes and all, like some kind of free spirit. You know, she'd swear there was a garden at the bottom of the ocean. And that night, I found it. Free spirit from impulse.
All you need is you.
You're not gonna find a job just like that. Most jobs need at least high school.
Yeah, dropping out will get me nowhere.
I thought you wanted to be something.
I do, but I can't take it anymore.
Whether you stay in school or drop out is your decision. For a free brochure that might help, call 1-800-461-2525.
Hi, I'm Rhea, and welcome back. In the past few months, there's been tons of talk surrounding David Letterman's new show on CBS, and people are still talking.
I like that whenever there's a camera either.
Letterman originally hosted Late Night with David Letterman on NBC, but made the network switch after his much publicized contract negotiations with NBC broke down. But don't expect the same show on a different channel. Many of the gimmicks that made Dave's show will be staying at NBC, which means that his writers will have to come up with new, zany replacements. But one person that Dave and the gang don't want to replace is Larry Bud Melman. He's the small, wrinkly guy with the glasses. Unfortunately, NBC also thinks that Larry is great and doesn't want to let him go. No idea how this custody battle will end up, but we'll find out soon enough, because Late Show with David Letterman premieres on the 30th of this month. And what about Dave's trusty sidekick, Paul Schaefer? Well, he and his sidemen have come out with an album. But the band is now called the Party Boys of Rock and Roll, since NBC has the rights to the world's most dangerous band. But they were sneaky enough to call the album The World's Most Dangerous Party. The new album is compiled of cover versions of songs by performers that Schaefer worked with on Late Night with David Letterman. Now, could it be that since Prince changed his name to a symbol, he's trying to unload all of his old stuff? Well, that could be the reason for the opening of his own retail store called the New Power Generation. The 900 square meter store in Minneapolis stocks all kinds of Prince memorabilia, including tour programs and merchandise, as well as a line of body oils and scents, named after Prince songs like Love Sexy and Insatiable. The store will also have items that are not for sale, like his motorcycle from Purple Rain. And as an added attraction, there will also be a separate area where fans can see previously unreleased video footage, such as Prince playing with Miles Davis. There's also an added attraction to the Boston Four Seasons Hotel. It's the insect that woke Eddie Van Halen. During a recent stay there, Eddie woke up in the middle of the night to an excruciating pain. Well, it turns out that a beetle took a walk across the pillowcase right into the guitarist's ear. Nice. Eddie got the bug out alive and gave it to the front desk at the hotel, where the bug now resides in a jar. Well, that's it for me. Merit is next. Here's Time Out.
We started the Seafarers Texaco Cup race where driver Mark Tate gets some airtime. Mark was lucky he got away with a shoulder injury and a mild concussion. Some great catches in baseball this past week. Florida's Chuck Carr takes to the air for this one.
Oh, what a catch!
And not to be outdone, here's Boston's Yvonne Calderon. Brian Jordan from the St. Louis Cardinals. San Francisco's Darren Lewis.
He makes the catch.
And a great grab by Toronto's Devin White. This one's not so great. Call for it, eh, guys? This is cute. Bo Jackson of the Chicago White Sox with birthday wishes for his son, Nick. Over to football, where ace quarterback Doug Flutie goes down, but gets the pass away to Alan Pitt for a Calgary touchdown. How about some mud football? We caught up with these guys at a game in Portland. Hope they don't lose the ball. Finally, to the Footbag Championship in Golden, Colorado. It's sort of a cross between hacky sack and volleyball. The idea is to get the ball over the net, but you'd probably want to do some serious stretching before you try this at home.
Golf could be the most boring televised event ever, other than leadership conventions, but golf isn't that bad.
All right, we've got a simple Spalding extra large man's glove.
My buddy George and I spent $100 to play 18 holes the other day. Not a game for starving students. Nevertheless, when played well, golf is sorta zen-like. By zen, I mean that golf is a sport of the mind. You play it against yourself, and you must struggle for the inner concentration necessary to tie together the disparate elements of your body and your mind, striving to get that little ball in the hole. You could go as far as to say that the perfect putt is a spiritual experience.
Oh my goodness.
Of course, I'm no Arnold Palmer, nor am I a practiced Buddhist monk. Neither is George. In fact, this is more like baseball. Strike one. Strike two. Ooh, you're out of there. The best part by far was definitely that crazy little cart. Okay, I'm hardly a purist. Anyway, by the 17th hole, things get just a little tedious, and when I was tallying up our scores, it can get a bit frustrating.
Don't try that at home, kids. Anyway, zen or no zen, golf isn't as bad as it is on TV. But given the option between a graveyard and building another 9 holes, I'd say the choice is pretty clear. For YTV, I'm Duncan.
I've said it before and I'll say it again, that guy has too much fun.
We have fun here, though.
We do, I guess. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't complain.
Do you golf?
No. Well, no. How about you?
Mini golf.
Yeah,
Does that
that's the
count?
same thing I was going to say. No, it doesn't count. But I bet it's about as skilled as what he was doing.
Well, I'm so good at mini golf, though.
Oh, God, I don't want to hear this.
We'll have a mini golf championship.
That's all the time we have for this week. Until we see you next week, have a great time and have a
great week.
Bye-bye.
Thursday, only Billy Kay can hold the band together. A World Unraveling. Catwalk. Thursday night at 6:30 on YTV.